Hey everyone, today we're going to be chatting about what it's like to own a Tesla in Australia. First things first is actually the buying experience is really unique when it comes to getting yourself a Tesla. If you did not know, you actually purchase your Tesla from their website. It's so different to going into a traditional car dealership and having to deal with like a sales rep. It's really refreshing. Definitely feels like the way of the future. We first came across the Model 3 in a shopping center, and you walk in and you get to check out the cars and you can book a test drive and ask any questions. But when it comes to buying the car, that's all done online. Cooper has decided to join us in today's video and mess up all of the pillows. Well, you might not even be able to see him. So yeah, the buying experience for getting yourself a Tesla is super different and something that we really loved being a part of. We took the Model 3 for a test drive after we decided, yep, this is the car, we're gonna get it. You do it all online. Like you put through a $100 deposit on their website and that reserves your car. And then they give you like updates via text messages. You don't actually deal with a person. If you're used to getting yourself a new car through that conventional dealership model, this is very different. The last new car I got was from Mazda, and it was just a very, very different experience. And the other thing is the driving experience. If you haven't driven an electric car, or more specifically a Tesla, they are so different to driving a normal car. This is like a giant piece of technology on the road rather than a car. Like it feels more like a piece of technology than it does a car, in my opinion. The Model 3 here in Australia has just had another price drop, as I mentioned in my last video, which means that the Model 3 Standard Range Plus is a lot more affordable than people realize. I think here in Australia, a lot of people assume that all Teslas are over $100,000. And for a lot of the time, yes, they were. You know, your Model X's and your Model S's were always pretty much over 100 grand. And now you can pick up a Tesla Model 3 for $60,000 and you're going to be eligible for some benefits too. So the different states are doing different rebates. Victoria is about $3,000 money back. New South Wales is about $4,000. You get incentives when it comes to registration and some taxes. The Model 3 has become a lot more affordable than people realize. And this car gets a lot more attention than we were expecting it to. Even just yesterday when I was driving home, I had 3 separate occasions where people were like, stopping me to look at the car. Yeah, it gets a lot more attention than we're expecting. We kind of like in the States, there's Model 3s everywhere. So as they become more affordable, which they're definitely at that place now, we'll start to see a lot more of them on the road. Interestingly, the sales rep did tell me that he expects Tesla Model 3 to become the best selling luxury sedan in the country by the end of the year. So that's competing against BMW 3 Series, some of your Audis. So that's massive. If the Model 3 truly is the best selling luxury sedan in this country, then yeah, prepare for a lot of change. You know, at the moment, it's less than 1% of cars on the road are electric. And it feels like in the next 2 to 3 years, that number is dramatically going to increase. The charging network definitely needs some improvement. It was a real letdown in that first week of us driving the car because we expected that there would be more charging stations. And so one thing on that is when you jump onto the Tesla website and you check out the charging network and the maps, it seems like there's more charges than there actually is because destination charges are really hit and miss. A lot of the time, you cannot use a destination charger unless you're actually staying at the hotel or you've booked into the restaurant. I think if you're doing a long trip, it's best to plan your trips around Tesla superchargers, so the ones that are owned by Tesla and guaranteed to do a fast charge too. If you are relying on destination chargers, which are a lot slower, best to sort of just check in advance that you can use it. And I think over time, there will be more reviews on chargers, you know, like, hey, this charger out in Ballarat was really good. You can just roll up and use it, no questions asked. Or, you know, there's been occasions where business owners will come out and tell people that they can't charge there because they're only for their employees, which is super weird, but they're showing up on the map. So in summary, the charging network in Australia needs a lot more work. It will get there, but it just requires more thinking, more research, more planning. And in the States, there's just Tesla superchargers everywhere. So it doesn't really compare to what we're dealing with here in Australia at the moment. But as that demand grows for these cars and more Model 3s are on the road, then the charging network will expand. And each state's government is pushing for more infrastructure when it comes to charging networks. So it is rapidly changing, but something to keep in mind. Rely on Tesla superchargers. They're going to be better than destination chargers, and plan all your trips. I still would take this car over a petrol car any day of the week. I love not stopping at petrol stations. It's super easy to charge your car at home. This is the most common question we get, is like, oh, how do you charge it? Well, we just charge it using a normal power point in our garage. We just plug the car in every night. And hello, Katie. 2 big greyhounds in this family, if you didn't know. For us, the trip back to Melbourne is about an hour and a half. That normally uses about 30% of the battery, right? So you plug it in overnight, you get that 30% back, you're leaving the next day with a full battery. So pretty much every time we're leaving the house, we leave with a full battery, which means unless you're doing a significantly long trip, like 2.5, 3 hours, you don't need to worry about charging because you're always going to come back home and charge it from that normal power point. We don't have anything special installed, and you back up at full percentage. So Tesla recommends you keep the battery between 30% and 80% and try to not go above or below that sort of threshold just for battery health. The other thing to mention is the secondhand value for Teslas in this country right now is really, really strong. And that's one of the reasons why we ended up buying a Model 3 brand new, is because we knew that in a couple of years' time, we would be able to sell it and hopefully not lose too much money. Now, the asterisk to that is that Tesla have continued to drop their prices since we bought our Tesla a couple of months ago. And that is hurting the secondhand market because, last week they did a $3,000 price drop. And so instantly we have to bang off our secondhand value by $3,000. So because there is quite a bit of a wait time to get yourself a Tesla, it means that a lot of people aren't willing to wait, 3, 4, 5 months to get their Model 3. So they look to car sales, they look to online. Typically, a Tesla will hold its value within 10% over 3 years, which is really good, really promising. When it comes to like BMWs and Mercedes, they typically drop about 30% from new to secondhand value within 3 years. The secondhand market is strong for these cars. It makes buying one a little bit more appealing, knowing that you're not going to have too much trouble selling your Tesla if you decide to. Another thing to consider is that Tesla don't pay for any advertising. So you're not going to see a Tesla advert come up on the TV. You're not going to see really any marketing whatsoever. And it's really reliant on word of mouth and YouTube channels like this and Twitter and social media to talk about the cars and the features that these cars have. Because you're not going to find out any other way unless you're going to a dealership or like a showroom, I should say, and talking to some of the Tesla staff. So that in itself is interesting because even for someone like myself, I'd done a lot of research on the Model 3 before I actually went to test drive it. I thought I knew pretty much everything about it, and I was like at 10%. So there's so much to learn about these cars because we really don't know much about them. We're not getting told through advertising and marketing. I personally hope that one day Tesla start to advertise and market, because I think that a lot of people don't realize how amazing these cars are, and there's a lot of unknown. And lastly, I just wanted to touch on the owner's manual. So every Tesla will come with an owner's manual, and they're really good. So there's so much information that we don't know about these cars, but if you spend the time going through the owner's manual, it's really well laid out, and that's available online or actually on the big touchscreen in your car. So if there's anything you wanted to look up, that's got all the information that you would need. So if you are considering buying a Tesla Model 3 or any Tesla, just know that the owner's manual is a really helpful resource. So that pretty much sums it up for today's video. Some of those key points: the charging network still needs a bit of work, but it's super easy to charge your car at home just using a normal power point. The price keeps dropping on Model 3s. Different governments have different rebates and incentives. So look into it, do your own research. And the most important thing is try and take a Tesla for a test drive, and that will change your mentality on how different these cars are and if it's going to suit you. So that about does it for this week. Hope you guys have a good one, and I'll catch you in the next video.